This movie was brought to you by DwayneWright.com, FileMaker Framework Solutions, virtual one-on-one FileMaker training, consulting, and custom design services. For more information, please visit www.DwayneWright.com. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne, and in this movie I want to chat a little bit about the let function, the data viewer, and global variables. And in this example we're just going to kind of cook them together in a bit of a casserole. A FileMaker casserole, that is. This movie was inspired from a discussion at my local FileMaker special interest group of the Apple larger group, and it was just a stray comment that was said by Bruce Robertson. I guess this has been out for quite some time and I just never picked up on it before, and I'm not sure that I'll use it quite that often just because I'm not all that geeky. I'm more of a blue-collar working man kind of FileMaker developer, but it is interesting and I just wanted to share it with you in this movie format. And then it was kind of amazing that I kind of disregarded it, and then I was picking up and reading the FileMaker 10 Bible by Ray Culligan, and I was on page 666 of all things. FileMaker Bible, page 666. You would think it would have something to do with Microsoft Access, but no, it was talking about this topic as well. And so we'll kind of merge it together and show it off in a movie. The idea is that using a let function, you declare variables as you go down. So you say, this variable equals this variable equals this. Take these two variables and calculate them together and then come up with a result. Now, so here you see in my text area a somewhat complicated let function. It's not too complicated, but it's good for illustration purposes. And so what you do is you say let, and then you have your parentheses and then your bracket, and the brackets are used to mark the beginning and the end of your declare variable process. So you say this is a variable, this is a variable, this is a variable, here's that ending bracket. Okay, I'm done declaring variables. Here's the calculation on all those variables I declared. So this is a declaration of a variable, this is a declaration, this is a declaration, this is a declaration up to the point of that bracket, and then this is the final calculation that we're evaluating. So inside of the variables that I'm declaring, you can see that this $$A, well, that means that it's not a local variable, it's a global variable. So it will stay persistent within a particular file for a user's session. So and that's really what's different about it, because you can declare a variable to say just about anything. You can even declare a variable that equals the same as a field name, although that would not be a best practice by any means. But so really I could just say A equals 25, and I did in an earlier version of my little let test. But here I change that to a global variable, so I'm saying the global variable of A equals 25 and B equals 5. And then I take my global variable and again, and I say it equals the global variable divided by itself. And this is just, again, more of an experimenting in a movie type of thing. When you declare a variable, you can use that same variable name again within the calculation. So that way, if you have a very, very, very long calculation, you don't have to have a dictionary length word collection of variable names. So and what happens is when it's declared again, it just overwrites what it had before. So here it says A equals 25, here it says B equals 5, and here it says A equals what its previous value was divided by B, which was 25 divided by 5, equals 5. And then I use it again in saying C equals B times my A, and then C times B. And my final result on that is 125. So that's just how the calculations break down. So here you can see that I have a field called variable, And if we take a look underneath the hood, bring it on over here so you can take a gander at it. I say my variable just strictly equals $$A. So what'll happen is in the data, this calculation right here does not exist in the file right now. I'm going to take this calculation, pop it into a kind of a working area inside of the data viewer, a watch area, just to see what happens. And you're going to see that when I put this calculation into the evaluation of the data viewer, it's going to show up as a currently available variable within the entire file. And then our variable calculation is going to kick in. This has really nothing to do with the data viewer, and the data viewer calculation is really not even part of the file. It's just a floating. Well, it's kind of part of the file, but not really part of the file. So let's go ahead, and hopefully you're kind of following me on that. It would help if you reviewed some of the information about the let function, the data viewer, and calculations in general. So let's go ahead and add. So here's your sandbox of sorts for the calculations. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this entire text string and pop it in here and say evaluate now. And so we get our calculation of 125. And I'm going to go ahead and hit monitor. So there it is. It's monitored. It's 125. There's no big deal. But if I go into my current area, you can see that I do have a value of 5, which is the last instance that was declared here. The $sign equals 25. Boom, boom, boom. So let's go ahead and just create a new record in our evaluate now, just to kickstart that unstored calculation into a stored format. And now you can see that the nebulous data viewer declared variable is now available in other areas of that FileMaker file as far as calculations, scripts, everything else. So you might have to watch this movie a couple times if you're not familiar with the data viewer, the let function, and unstored calculations, and global variables and local variables. But I think that if you think about it over time, it'll start to make sense. What this can do for you mainly is when you're troubleshooting a script, you can have the data viewer off to the side monitoring your values. You can bump a global variable on demand and see what happens in your calculations. You can do more sandbox type of testing or programming before you actually integrate that logic into a client's or your work group's solution file. Do you have questions or comments about the video you just saw? Please feel free to email me at info@DwayneWright.com. Thank you.